Hello, in this tutorial we're going to be covering how to create a Twitter feed style auto refresh. What we mean by that is we got this Twitter feed on my Twitter account, and as new tweets come into my feed we get this little sort of area that gets updated. It says view 21 new tweets, and if I wait a few more seconds it'll probably update with a like 623. If I click it now, it loads the new tweets, but it's not constantly checking for it. It does it X amount of seconds, where it's going to run it every 3 seconds, but it'll be easily modifiable, so you'll be able to run it however many seconds you want. And this is fantastic whether you're running a blog, a forum system, or anything that has data coming in on a regular basis. Because imagine if I'm reading this particular post or this one here, and the new tweets get loaded, I can no longer see this post. Whereas using this method, I can load them when I'm ready, and it tells me how many there are, which is also fantastic. We're not going to be loading tweets or anything from a database. That's not what this tutorial is about. This tutorial is to get the front end, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS all working, and we'll be using a JavaScript array which you can populate using a database, using something like Ajax to get the data from a MySQL database and putting it into the JavaScript array. And this will be all set up and primed for that situation. So the first thing we want to do is I'm actually going to go to the Get Bootstrap website. Bootstrap isn't a requirement for this at all, but I just like using Bootstrap. One, it's the most popular responsive framework, and two, it has some really cool elements built in, some really cool components which just look good. So it's just a great way of making stuff look good without having to do a lot of CSS. So if I just copy the starter template into my project, so I've actually got to create a few files first. I'm going to create index.html, index.css, index.js, and in the HTML file, if I paste this in here, I'm going to select everything and beautify it. This is just a plugin to sort of realign code, so this is the way I like it. Before we actually start coding the website, we need to link up the style sheet and the JavaScript file. To do that, you do link, relationship is going to be style sheet, and the href is going to be index.css. Now we need to link the JavaScript file. To do that, you just do script source equals index.js, and that is it. That is all the linking that we need to do. We can actually get to coding our website. So what we're going to do is have 3 sort of main sections, and one of the sections is going to be a div class of container. The class container is just a Bootstrap class. Again, that's not necessary. We're just doing it because we like Bootstrap. Within here we would have all of our tweets. This is going to have an ID of tweets container. It's going to have a data-count, and this is going to track how many tweets it's actually storing at the current moment in time. And this is what we're going to be using to tell the user that there's new tweets, because if it's holding 5 tweets and after 3 seconds when it checks there's 6 tweets, clearly there is a new tweet, and as a result we'll showcase to the user that that is the case, and they'll have some text or a button that you can click which will load in the new tweets. This is actually going to be empty because we're going to be populating this using a JavaScript array. So let's get on to populating it with a JavaScript array. So to do that, very, very simple stuff. All we need to do is go to our index.js file. We're going to create an array. So var, I'm going to call it tweet array equal to, and inside here you're going to have another array, and this is essentially going to be 2 items. This is essentially the equivalent of one. This is this is the first tweet. This is essentially the equivalent of a tweet where you have images, titles, text, dates. That doesn't matter. How you format it doesn't matter. This tutorial is about getting the auto refresh working, and then you can modify it the way you want it to look. So we're gonna add a few more default tweets in here. Hello world, and like I said, this is essentially what you would be populating from your database in the future when you link it in with some back-end code, or however you want it. You might get some sort of RSS feed and use that. Is awesome. And I'll add one more tweet in here, or the equivalent of a tweet item, I should say. Yoda beat Darth Sidious in episode 3. So now what we want to do, we're actually going to create a method called reload tweets. And the reload tweets method is first of all going to do hash tweets container, which is this right here. And what it's going to do is empty the contents of it every time we want to reload. And now we are going to loop over our tweet array. So we're going to do var I equals tweet array dot length -1, because we want to start from the last element in our tweet array, because this essentially will be the first one that's being put in here, and this will be the last, because that's the way it works on Twitter and a lot of other, pretty much anything really. You usually have the latest content first and then the oldest last. So we need to start with the tweet array dot length -1. Remember, the length, let's say if it's of 5, that will range between 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, because things in computers start at 0. And the condition is, while I is greater than or equal to 0, I minus minus. And in here, we're going to do $ hash tweets container dot append. Okay, that's all looking good. And in here is where we're going to be appending our tweet. So what we're going to do is single quotation marks. This is just some code that I've already done, checked out, and you know what? Before I do this here, I'll actually show you on the front end what it will look like. So what I'm going to do is put div class of row. Again, all of these classes are from Bootstrap, so if you're using Foundation, the b3.css or anything else, or your own framework, feel free to change these. Column-xs12, and in here you would actually get a single tweet. So what I'm going to be using is actually an alert from Bootstrap, because they look cool. Simple as that. They're a nice component, they styled beautifully, and we're going to be using this right here. So if I copy that into here, I'm going to sort out the indentation, and the well done would essentially be the first element in the array will be like this one here, like you can think of it like the title, and the second one would be like the body of the tweet essentially. So what we're going to be doing is cutting this. Actually, I'll save that and I'll add a few more into here so you can see what it will look like. So let's just open up this page. So this is essentially what it's going to look like. Actually, I think it'd be best if we add some sort of gap at the top. So what we're going to do is go to the CSS file, do hash tweets container margin dash top 50 pixels. Yep, that's looking a lot better now. So this is essentially how our tweets are going to appear. Above here we'll have another alert. We'll probably have the red alert, which will allow us to provide some text saying new tweets available, click here to reload, and how many tweets have loaded. So what we were gonna do is get rid of all of this. Just cut this particular tweet out, and in the JS file, this is where we're going to be appending it. We're going to replace the well done with a single quotation mark, which will break out of our text, and we're going to add a variable. We'll be putting this all on one line, so it'll look a lot better and it will work then. So if you do plus tweet array I, then we're going to get the first element. We want to do the same for the body of the tweet, which is right here, and this is going to be 1. And now what we can start doing is putting this all on the same line, and as you can see, the highlighting has changed because it is properly formatted now. And now the only thing we need to do in this method to complete it is do hash tweets container dot data, and we need to update the count, which is going to be updated to tweet array dot length. At the moment this won't do anything because this method is not being called, so we're going to do dollar document dot ready, and this is going to be a function, and in here we are simply going to do reload tweets, so it initially loads up the tweets. So if we refresh, as you can see, it's loaded all of our tweets, and this is the latest tweet essentially. So this is the first one that is appearing, or the one that's appearing right at the top. So now what we need to do is call, or essentially have some logic to call this method every 3 seconds or after X amount of time. To do that, you set interval function and in here what we're going to be doing is actually we need some more HTML. So if we go back to our HTML side, before the container there are 2 more containers that we're going to be adding. The first one is going to be essentially a form which is going to allow us to post tweets. We're not caring about what user is from. This is just the way we're going to handle pumping new tweets into it, so we can see when there's new data and we can see the refresh working. So we'll do div class equals row, and in here we'll do div again. This is all bootstrap stuff, so change this as you want and as you need to. And in here we're going to put a form. We're going to put an input type of text. I'm going to put a placeholder of title. I'm going to put an ID of tweet title. We're going to put a break line. We're going to put a text area. And this is going to have an ID of tweet body. We're going to put another break line. And finally, we're going to have an input, which is going to be our submit button. But we're not going to be reloading the page, which is the default behavior of a submit button within a form. We'll be overriding that behavior within JavaScript, tweet button, and the value is going to say tweet. Add a break line here. And I forgot to close this method off. I mean this element off properly. And now what we're going to be doing is adding another div. You know what? I'll just copy and paste this so I can save some time. So this div is going to have an ID of reload container, and essentially this is going to be that alert that pops up saying there's new tweets, click here to reload. So within here we're actually going to copy and paste an alert. We're going to use the danger alert. Danger, it's like danger, there are new tweets. So if we paste this into here, and yeah, we're just going to use pretty much put everything within the strong section. And I'm going to put a href. And inside here, actually this needs a ID first because this is what will be clickable. Reload tweets. This is going to say new tweets are available. Click to reload. And what we're going to do now is put a span, and this span is essentially going to be the number of new tweets. So it's going to be num of new tweets. And if we go back to our web page, refresh, we've got our form. If we click that, it does refresh the page, but we'll be handling that soon. And we got this as well. So new tweets available, click to reload. But the thing is, let me actually add a space as well. Save that, refresh, all looking good. The thing is, we don't want this to be displayed by default. Only display it if it's, well, if there's a new tweet. So we're going to get this ID, go to CSS, and we're going to set the display to none. Refresh, and it's no longer there. And now we need to implement the logic within JavaScript. So first of all, we need to do, what should we do first? We need, I'm just trying, yeah, we'll go linearly because we're going to need all the remaining code. So we need to check if the count is less than the number, like the tweet array length. So we're going to do tweets container dot data count. If it's less than tweet array dot length, then there are new tweets. And if there's new tweets, what we're going to do is do hash num of new tweets, which is a span which will contain the number of new tweets, .html, and this essentially is going to equal to tweet array.length minus this right here. And what we want to do is actually show it as well. So we're going to do hash reload container dot show, and we also need to set a interval amount 3000, this is in milliseconds, so that is 3 seconds. Now we need to handle the tweet button being clicked, so we're going to put hash, or no, I mean dollar hash tweet button dot click function. And remember, this is a button within a form, so we want to prevent it from submitting. So we're going to do event.prevent default. So this prevents the default behavior of this button. So this is no longer going to refresh it now. And what we're going to do is do tweet array.push. We're going to push an element onto it, and we're going to do square brackets dollar hash tweet title dot val. So we're going to get the value of it. So this is the title, and we're going to do the same for the tweet body dot val. And now finally we need to implement the reload tweets feature. So to do that, just do dollar hash reload tweet. So this is that text that's going to be clickable, dot click. We don't need any event for this function because we're not preventing any default behavior from occurring. Because if you were to use some sort of form for this, you would need an event to prevent the default behavior. And in here, you just do reload tweets. So this is this method here. That's the reason we put in a method, so we could use it any place we needed to. And finally, we do. We're essentially going to be doing this, but instead of showing it, we're going to be hiding it. So if we save that, go back to our web page, refresh, make sure there's no errors, which is looking good. And now let's post something. Let's say, I am awesome. Tweet. New tweets are available. Click to reload. As you can see, the new tweet has been loaded. So if I keep clicking this, it says 9. If I keep clicking it again, after 3 seconds, it updates. 26. So we're going to click this now, and this has this has loaded all of our new tweets. So that is how you create a Twitter style feed auto refresh. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on our education platform, sonarlearning.co.uk. There'll be a link in the description to that. Plus, there will be a link in the description to the GitHub page, which will showcase all of the source code in this Twitter style code snippet series. And as usual, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and leave us a comment. And I hope you have a great day.